For doing Ghostbusters things, I'm a huge fan of Black Dynamite, and the Boondocks is hilarious, and I love watching that show with my friends. So that's why I signed up for this. I'm really honored to get to meet you guys. So I'm sorry I don't have any awesome questions. I have shit.
Oh, come on. Now's your time. Don't waste it. All right. Okay. Hi, man. I'm Mitch with the Indy cast, and we do action adventure films, and you guys set your own category here. When it comes to doing this movie, and there was those great mistakes. You want to talk about the TV show or the cartoon? We'll talk about the movie first. Okay. But you know the shot, you got the boom mic coming in and things like that. How much of that stuff is just actually happening on the set, and you go, shit, just leave it in because it's funny, or it's calculated to do? I'm sure that shot.
That one was calculated.
Yeah.
But we had a whole bunch that we're not playing. Like when he's about to, when the car keeps rolling.
Yeah.
That wasn't planned.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That just kind of happened.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, well.
It happens to him all the time.
When the car door gets stuck on the street.
Yeah.
That was not planned.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So when you guys go back to the editing room, it's like we could make like a blooper reel, or shit, just make it in the movie.
Just stick it in the movie, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the stuff we made it like a real blaxploitation movie. Like sometimes we would run out of stock footage, so we say just reuse the same one. You know?
Oh, is that why the grain changes sometimes in the scene? I was like, maybe it's
when the car goes over the cliff, we show that twice. There's supposed to be two different cars.
Oh, you know what?
We just show the same shot over and over again.
Well, here's the thing too. You got this parody going on. I mean, when you say, okay, now we're going over the top, we're going into Airplane, the movie territory, or don't you have any limits to it? You don't set anything for yourselves, just let it happen.
Well, I think the big thing that we worked through, the funnel that we worked this thing through, was that we weren't just making Black Dynamite. Yeah. We were a film crew who was supposed to be a film crew making Black Dynamite.
Yeah.
So that was like the whole thing. Like I was like, Mike was playing Black Dynamite. He was Ferrante Jones, Indianapolis Colts. Oh no, excuse me, Baltimore Colts running back who was playing Black Dynamite.
Yeah.
So everything was like, there was this sort of subtextual sort of thing going on that we kind of funneled things through. It kind of gave us the parameters to how the movie is supposed to be.
So okay, so that was your bar, and you said,
that was
let's just stay within this realm.
Yeah, with the guy who would be directing the movie Black Dynamite do this.
Yeah.
And then my whole thing was like, I was like this kind of like hip Jewish dude who was like hanging out with Black Panthers.
Yeah.
And then I was like smoking a whole bunch of pot.
Yeah.
And the movie would just be like, everything would just get crazier. And he's like, hey, it'd be great if he went to the White House and kicked ass. You know, like everything was just sort of that was I was thinking about it.
Now we all enjoyed it and stuff, but did you hear anything from folks that made those films in the 70s that were saying, hey, we took those seriously, guys, why are you mocking us?
Fred Williamson.
Did he really?
Yeah.
He didn't get the joke, huh?
He wasn't, so.
Really?
Everybody else was pretty cool.
Like Richard Roundtree said, it's the funniest thing I ever saw.
Yeah, like, well, Mike is friends with Jim Brown, so that was
yeah.
him.
Nixon didn't like it.
But no one listens to him much anymore.
The Nixon family didn't really appreciate it.
No. I don't know why.
Cool. A lot of them came to the premiere.
Yeah.
Like, you see Bernie Casey was there.
Oh, Bernie Casey, I know.
And, I forgot her name, Gloria Hendry. Yeah. They're all like there, you know, so it's cool. So most of the time they were pretty appreciative, like that people kind of.
Well, they probably said, "How come you didn't call me to be in it?"
Yeah. So if we put them in it, then it would break the illusion, and the whole thing was really trying to keep the '70s thing going. Like we were making this movie in the '70s to watch those people at that time come in old.
Yeah.
With sort of
Now you know when Quentin Tarantino, he did his Jackie Brown, he tried to do what you guys did, but obviously he was being serious to a point. I don't know if anybody's ever talked to him. Is he a fan of the film? Did he see and say that's what I wanted to do? Or?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think that's what he was trying to do.
Well, he tried it. What's that picture he did?
Jackie Brown?
No, not Jackie Brown. But remember he did those drive-in Grindhouse with that cheesy like Kurt Russell, I think it was.
Yeah.
Something. He was trying for that like '70s effect that you guys pulled off seamlessly, and it was more forced on his end, in my opinion. But I'm just wondering, did he come back and say, "Hey, I wish I thought of that"?
No, I never spoke to him personally, but what was interesting, you know, he owns the New Beverly Theater in Los Angeles, and he set up. We did a triple feature, so we did a Grindhouse, like so it was like whatever, I forgot the name of his movie.
beat up, race car death. I don't know what it was.
Death Proof.
Death Proof. That was it. Yeah.
Whatever Robert Rodriguez is.
Planet Terror.
Planet Terror.
You guys know that.
Death Proof, and then Black Dynamite triple feature. So that was kind of cool. So they're very conscious of them. They pull together.
Now, what do you guys got? The show coming on? Were you guys involved with the comic book at all? Slave Island?
It came from an original story that we had worked on for Black Dynamite that we didn't use.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because instead of going to Kung Fu Island, they went to Slave.
Yeah.
The Slave Island was originally in there, and then we changed it to Kung Fu Island.
Why?
And the writer Brian Ash is actually one of the writers on the show.
Is he? Yeah. He's not here, but he's the one who wrote the comic.
So now that you got the show going, you're going to start using all these ideas and go a direction you never even imagined, or?
Yeah, I mean, you know, like you were mentioning earlier about, you know, the boom mic and those kind of things. We didn't want to go that far in the animated series.
We're having a great time over there. We got the Ghostbusters. I was going to say, you think this would be? No, obviously not. Mike was laughing his ass off.
Right, but it was more about getting the sexiness of that world, and bringing it to animation. And instead of it being a parody, it's like this world really exists.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like this is just, you know, this is their real life, and this is like, you know, and a lot of the stories that we're telling are similar. Yeah. But yet we have a little bit more flexibility because it's animation, so we can bring everyone back to life.
Well, yeah, that's true too. With the animation, I mean, what can you really do? Like goof mistakes, maybe like paint something wrong in one scene, or have the background the same thing again and again.
It's not really about
those
that.
kind of nuances don't read in animation. It just looks like we did a bad job.
Right. You're right by the same thing like the Flintstones.
When you were a kid, you watched like Scooby-Doo meets Super Friends, and you're like, why is the Joker painted purple in one scene, and then the next scene is
it just seems like we fucked up.
And he'd be like, I got a job painting this thing in Korea somewhere, and that's what he did. So it's harder to pull that type of spontaneous.
Now, if we make a mistake, we'll probably just leave it in, and you guys will think we're geniuses.
That'll be the deleted scenes on the Blu-ray DVD release and stuff. Is there talk about going back to live action and do a big, like a 3D Black Dynamite? That'd be something.
That's interesting.
Fist of Fury.
That would be the third one.
Oh, it's Black Dynamite 3. In DD, you can feel the explosion. Oh no, you know what you can do? Sense around. Remember that? I don't know if you guys are old enough for that. When I was a kid, they had these roller coaster movies, and you'd go in an earthquake, and the whole place would shake because they had these vibrating things, like big bass things. All right, they're running. All right, guys, thanks. Ghostbusters, you want to go first?
Yeah.
Oh, could you guys just introduce?
All right, hold on. Sorry about that. He just needs a quick intro for his video, so if you wouldn't mind, sir.
Do you want to change with me? So you can get both of your
Really? I could just tilt the camera this way.
All right. I'm going to say she's Kim.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, that ain't right.
That's not just a voice for the day, that's your voice?
That's a normal voice.
Okay.
She's from Brazil.
Oh my God, I feel like little birds should be flying around our head.
They might.
You about to laugh? Make her laugh.
I can't take it. Oh, she squeaks.
All right, you get it?
Okay. Your introduction.
You get your intro.
I just wanted to say who you were.
I'm Michael Jai White.
Today, Byron Mintz.
Kim Whitley.
There you go. All right. You want to start?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Here we go.
Here we go. Just get on. Not gonna lie. We got work to do.
I got a press pass because of like Mattel and stuff. They're doing a lot of stuff for the Ghostbusters, and I'm a huge fan of like Black Dynamite and the Spawn movie. And I heard you guys were gonna be here, and I got an email saying that I could be here. So I just really wanted to be here so I could meet you guys.
Oh,
I'm a huge fan.
there you go.
I just want to meet you guys.
Oh, that's
I don't have a lot of questions or anything.
That's
I'm just really happy.
Pleasure. I like your outfit, your Hello Kitty Ghostbusters.
You got the Hello Kitty.
I'm a Hello Kitty guy. I'm sorry.
We are sitting.
This is awesome.
All right. Well, cool? All right. I was going to bother. Now, I actually got some legit questions. I do a podcast. It's about Indiana Jones, but action films in general.
Okay.
And you don't get much more action than Black Dynamite in the last couple of years. And I asked the other fellas there, when you're on set and the goofs happen, like the boom mic, what's planned, what's not planned? I guess the car door sticking to the sidewalk was not planned, and then when you go to edit, you go, okay, that's good enough to leave in, that's shit, take it out. I mean, where do you draw the line?
Well, of course the boom mic is planned. That's in the script, actually. But it's there are a few goofs that we left in, like when the hitman guy, like forgets to put the car in park.
And it rolls.
Yeah, and then the door sticking.
Those were gifts from the comedy god.
Yeah. But it's really not that many things like that I can think of. Like, most of the things are planned.
Yeah. Now, I said before, did you get any backlash from the folks that made those movies in the 70s were doing it legitimate back then? They were being serious, and you kind of spoofed them so much. Have you heard back from like a Jim Brown or anybody and said, "Hey, man"?
Actually, Jim Brown was one of the first people to see the movie.
Yeah, what he said?
When I was done with it, he and I, sat in his home in his theater and watched it, and he dug it. He really liked it. We were actually going to shoot one of the scenes in Jim Brown's house.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, well, it turns out the street wasn't accommodating for like big trucks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
that's your big trailer or something?
Yeah, and all that type of stuff. Yeah, so it didn't work out with the schedule. But Jim Brown, he loved it. I based a lot of my character off of Jim Brown.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
He knew that.
Now, was there any of the actors from that time that didn't appreciate it?
I don't know if they didn't.
No.
I didn't know. So
the few that we spoke to had favorable things to say because they knew that we weren't spoofing it per se. I mean, there was a lot of love.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Not negative. Because you can tell sometimes when you watch a movie, there's lots of these cheesy spoof movies that are just done quick and on the cheap, and they don't resonate with anybody because it's like a bad Mad magazine,
Yeah.
So and now that you did that, and you had Slave Island was the comic book, and I found out that was one of the choices. You were going to either go to Karate Island or you're going to go to Slave Island, and you went to Karate Island, the movie, and the comic book was based on Slave Island. Where do you go now? Do you go back to the 70s and look at like disaster movies and say, what would Black Dynamite do in Tower and Inferno? What would Black Dynamite do in Smokey and the Bandit? What would Black Dynamite do in Planet of the Apes? I mean, do you take that character and put him in those 70s films and just see what the magic could be?
Well, I mean, you want to do homage to a lot of that film, a lot of that era.
Yeah.
But really, it's like that. It's got to come from some place of reality. Whereas these type of filmmakers. These are revolutionary type of filmmakers, and you would do what they would have done back then. To keep it pure. And you don't want to just kind of do something just because it's cutesy or
then you fall into that trap, like I said, where you make those like knockoff.
Yeah, we want to make something that feels pure each time.
Yeah, and you guys feel the same way too?
Well, just so you know, I mean, that was our initial approach was that we were filmmakers of that era who had a certain voice that we wanted to express, and so we told Black Dynamite through that voice. So for us to be true to that, we have to continue to go back to that.
Feel the same way?
Yeah, well, and I also feel that when they paved the way, that we are paying homage and respect, because I was actually nervous. I was like, I'm going to do some research, because you don't want to disrespect the people that came before you. So you want to, even though it is spoofy and funny, but you want. I remember Michael. He was very particular in how I delivered certain lines, especially the line with the tear, because I would have delivered it like, I'm so happy, Black Dynamite, like a regular line. He was like, no. You have to say this line in a certain way, in a certain rhythm. So it wasn't as easy as it looked.
Oh, really? So even the cadence of the actors' dialogue, you went back and there's a certain structure to the way they were delivering them back then?
Well,
is that subtle?
Well, absolutely. There's a way people spoke in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s that is just very unique to that time.
Yeah.
And if you want to give the viewer the experience like they are, watching something that's happening in 1974, you do the work. It was a different thing. Even the way people looked was different. In the way it was photographed. So we wanted to really have that entire experience. A lot of times there are movies that have kind of things in period, but you feel like they just stepped out of a Starbucks.
Yeah, exactly.
And to me, it's like I don't feel like I'm really in there because they didn't do the work.
You're not being authentic.
Looks a little too clean and it's a little too like it doesn't.
It doesn't resonate that this is a real period or from that era. Now you have this old Cartoon Network type of thing, and I already talked to the other guys there about how you can't make those goofs happen because it's animated. You can't just like, oh look, there's a boom mic in there. That means somebody's drawing it, and you'd be like, well, that's done on purpose, you know?
Yeah.
Or maybe you get those weird, like you watch those old Scooby-Doos or Super Friends, and one shot, the Joker's face would be purple, and you're like, what? And then it'd go back because the guy painted it the wrong color.
Yeah.
Now, that's taken away from you, that element.
Yeah, that whole, that element of bad movie making has to be taken away, because you're in the cartoon world. Now it's a different world. You have to accept it as such. It's, like it was a Scooby-Doo. Here's Scooby-Doo's world, here's Black Dynamite's world. And then the movie world doesn't really exist in it anymore, you know?
So it's a separate entity, like a comic book. It's its own creature.
It's another family. It's an animated family.
Well, what did you prefer? Would you prefer the, instant you go back and watch the dailies, or animated you got to write it and then they got to draw it and then they bring it back to you? I mean, as a creator, what do you find more rewarding?
Well, I don't come from the animation world. I'm still learning about that. You know, and I'm not an animator. So I acquiesce to Carl Jones and people like that who really has been doing this thing like for a long time and doing it incredibly.